Welcome back, warriors.
Yay!
Happy New Year to us.
Woohoo!
Happy New Year to us.
Oh, yeah.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to us.
Yippee!
Woo!
New year, new me. How about you?
Oh, always, honey. Always New Year,
New
me.
year, old me.
For real. New Year, same me. Okay, right? I've heard that one before. I really like that one, actually. So, warriors, it is officially 2023. And we have big feelings about it. Like, we have big feelings about everything.
Yeah.
But specifically, we started thinking about how around this time of the year, and specifically right around literally December 31st into January 1st, sometimes there's like this soul crushing pressure that starts to swirl and whirl. And sometimes it's in our like media too, right? It's in the commercials and in the algorithms on social media. And it's like, different companies like gyms and workout regiments and essential oils and all the things, just like, hey, your life, on December 30th was fine, maybe, or maybe it was total dog shit. So let's go ahead and get rid of all that and fix it with a bunch of new different stuff.
Yeah. Right? I mean, that's really nice of them to acknowledge our shitty lives and want to offer a way to make it better.
So nice of them. Yeah. Really timely too.
Yeah. They're not in it for anything except for to provide service and help.
No, they're just loving. They're just loving. Deep. They care about us deeply. Nothing to do with consumerism. Oh my
gosh. They care about our beach body. That's
right. They care about us feeling crabby about who we were. Excuse me, not were, are.
Yes.
Always feeling crabby about who we were and are. So, okay. So like what kind of shiitake kind of floats around in your mind when you think about the new year or New Year's Eve or just all of this time of year?
Yeah. So first of all, when you said 2023, like a pit went in my belly or my belly dropped or whatever. I was like, oh my gosh, it's already, because I mean, in this new year, I also feel like there's been so much loss of years because of the pandemic. So when you said 2023, I was like, oh my God, where's all this time gone?
True.
This is crazy. But that's a different topic than New Year, New Me. So I guess some of the things that come up for me when I think about New Year's Eve and New Year's Day and the new year, right? I don't even know why it has to be. Why does the new year have to be in the winter? Why couldn't it be like spring, right? Spring is the new year. But
true.
What comes up for me back in the day, not now, back in the day was always like pressure to do something super fun on New Year's Eve. It had to be celebrated. It had to be celebrated with friends and hopefully a significant other so you can kiss them on New Year's Eve. And the FOMO of or anxiety of FOMO of like not wanting to feel like I'm missing out on something. I would say that was like through college and in my 20s. Definitely less in my 30s. And now I'm not really there anymore. But there was just a lot of pressure to feel like I'm doing something cool to enter into the new year.
Yeah.
And then there's always like that pressure of, oh, it's a new year. I got to start being a new me. And like, what are your New Year's resolutions? And who do you want to be this year? Like, you're not going to be the same damn person you were in the past.
There's that one, as soon as the clock strikes midnight, bam, new person.
That's it. You can be whoever you want. It's a clean slate.
Sure. All the drama and trauma just poof,
it's a
gone.
New year. It's a new you.
True.
Right? And so then the pressure of like having created New Year's resolutions, like, or like big dreams for the new year, or, like the pressure of following through. So those are some of the things that come up when thinking about the new year and the anxiety of what enters in the new year back in the past, right? I would say this was a lot more stressful in my, late teens, 20s, and 30s. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a little bit of that shows up. I don't ever really remember having too much anxiety or big feelings surrounding doing anything fun, air quotes, or interesting for the
Mm-hmm.
new year. I always enjoyed doing New Year's Eve stuff. I do know I knew plenty of people that thought the holiday was like truly dumb. And like way back in the day, since we're talking about like teens and 20s and even my early 30s, it's like I just didn't think about it as dumb or what to me,
Mm-hmm.
it didn't really feel like anything.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I didn't, maybe just because growing up, there was not a whole lot of weight put on the holiday. And so
Mm-hmm.
I didn't feel any of that kind of pressure, not until my adulthood.
Hmm.
Like even as a kid, and I was a teacher. It's like I would talk to my kids. It's like, all right, it's like you have the list of things you go do with your students as the year goes on when you're a classroom
Yeah.
teacher, and one of them is talking about major holidays. And so it's like you talk to the kids about what does New Year's Eve mean? Who do we want to be? This like so you wind up having these conversations that in hindsight I'm like, that was gross. Like, why am I asking these little kids
Yeah.
how they want to change or be different this year? Or even if it was framed in like the what do you want to learn? Are there any new things you want to
Right.
try? It's like as long as there wasn't pressure associated with it, I don't think that's the worst thing you can do. But at the same time, it was like, why are we even talking about it in these
Right.
terms from a young age? And so I didn't wind up feeling any kind of pressure. So no FOMO, but pressure surrounding the New Year's in general until I was a grown ass adult.
Mm.
And I started thinking like, oh, this time of year is supposed to be significant. This is supposed to
Right.
be a time when I'm supposed to change, right?
Right.
That like
Right.
the old me is not good enough or
Right.
something. And so I need to
Exactly.
kind of, and the only way to be good enough is to apparently be different. And
Yeah.
so how do I want to not be like Margot? And it's like, whoa, that's really fucked up. And
Yeah.
so only in the last like maybe 4 or 5 years, even like through the pandemic and maybe a couple years prior into now, it's like I have kind of, this is the first time I've given up thoughts of like
Yeah.
the pressures of what it's supposed to mean to let go of who we were and embrace trying to be someone completely different.
Mm-hmm.
um it's so anti what I feel like I feel like I am and who I want to be as a teacher and as a person. It's like I don't want to teach my students that they should try to change themselves, like,
Right.
and that they're not good enough exactly as they are in this moment. I mean, that's so the antithesis of who we are as like embodied teachers and people who are trying to teach others to be present with what's going on with them without judgment and with more love
Right.
and curiosity and compassion. So it's a curious thing though, even with all the things that we do as yoga and mindfulness teachers over the years, um, thinking back to all the years when we weren't teaching those things and
Mm-hmm.
how I think my work as a teacher in this way compared to my work as a teacher in like the traditional sense
Right.
has really impacted how I view this time of the year.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so yeah, I mean, I think I had a lot of anxiety surrounding it, and maybe it was turning 40. I don't know. It's like less fucks all the time. I feel like every
Yes.
time I turn around, I have less fucks to give, which it's like,
Yes.
that's a gift. And so I hope all of our younger warriors can kind of take that thought and think, well, I don't have to be 40 to stop thinking like my life sucks unless I change it in the new
Right.
year.
Right. I need big goals. I appreciate that you shared that like you would talk about this with your students, because as I was sharing about like the pressures of one celebrating New Year's Eve and then the pressures of New Year's resolutions and becoming someone new, like I didn't get that from my parents. Right.
No,
But where did I get that from? I have no idea. Did I get it from my teachers? Was that a thing? Right. Or
maybe.
did I get it from the media telling me that I'm not good enough? And so that's where I took it from. Like, I don't even know where that pressure came from that I had to change and that I needed big goals. That, like, I'm sorry, if I'm not a gym person, if I'm signing up for the gym, I'm going to fail right away. Right.
Right.
And so
Yep.
then there's like also the anxiety or the discomfort when you don't fulfill the resolutions that are you think are important to you, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So
Totally.
have
I mean,
you yeah, go on.
yeah, no, I just, and what you mentioned the gym too, it kind of triggered this thought in my head. It's like, and so many, and again, media, the gym companies, the food company, so much of the new year, new me stuff, I feel like the messaging has all to do about body shaming.
Yeah.
right? I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like, yes, okay, big goals and dreams and heartfelt desires, that's one thing. But
Mm-hmm.
then I feel like a lot of the messaging that people receive, and maybe that's obviously targeted more towards women and women of a certain age or whatever. And it's just like
Mm-hmm.
basically saying your body should change all the time. I feel like we get this message a lot, just period. But
Mm-hmm.
around this time of the year, right? Look how, I mean, the stats are out there. Everyone signs up for the gym the day, right when the new year happens. And then guess what? By February, it starts to go
Yep.
down and down and down until here we go. It's a vicious cycle. It starts again, right? Everyone gives up. Not everyone, of course, but like speaking with broad strokes, it's like, because the idea also is that it's like all or nothing or something.
Right.
It's like, I better become a fucking gym rat. I
Mm-hmm.
better shred every ounce of fat off my body. I better, give up cookies, right? Or all the things I love to eat,
Right.
and start with like literally having like a little piece of rice and that's it. Like, it's like we're starving ourselves and saying like, that's like the worst thing our body can have happen to it. We're
Right.
saying to our own body, I hate you. You
Yeah.
suck as you are. It's time to change. And like, look, and I feel like health, and we should probably place a trigger warning here. Like this might be really sensitive for some folks. If you're out there and you struggle with eating disorders or body dysmorphia or any of those types of things, like just know that we feel you, right? We see you, we've been there, we know people that have been there. And I feel like this time of year really perpetuates the idea that we should hate our bodies
Yeah.
and
Well,
we should want
it
to change them
also,
and fix them.
they tell us like, oh, you've indulged for the last month of the holidays, right?
Right.
And it's like,
God forbid.
yeah, right. You enjoyed cookies and cocktails, and now
Right.
you need to get back into that perfect body. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I
But
mean,
even that wasn't some of the stuff, like for the resolutions. Like definitely one for me was always wanting to have a different body than I did December
yeah.
31st, right? But I barely ever joined a gym because I know myself
No.
well enough. I don't go to gyms, right?
No.
Um,
Totally.
but then there was other stuff. A lot of it was like, if I was single, wanting to meet someone and be with someone, or if I was unsatisfied in my job, there was wanting to find my passion, right? Not
Yeah.
just finding a job that felt good. Like there was the pressure that I needed to combine my passion with, like making money and finding the most perfect job where
Perfect
I'm,
job. Yeah.
yeah, where I'm giving back and it feels meaningful for me. And, and it's like, but what is
Wait,
the
this unattainable,
passion?
basically, I mean, it feels
Yes.
so pie in the sky. And maybe you have that, right? But then
Mm-hmm.
it just reminds me that it's like you should never be satisfied with where you are and what you have.
Right.
Right. I mean, like you say, the grass is always greener. And it's like you look at people who have what you would deem everything. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes, and then they're looking at their lives thinking, well, my life sucks. I want to look more like, I want it to look more like that
Mm-hmm.
person's life. And it's just like this perpetual cycle of you should never be satisfied
Right.
with who
Right.
you are and where you are and your work or whatever. And like, look, I'm all about making changes about
Mm-hmm.
your body, about your work, about whatever. If you are feeling stuck or like you need change, that's its own kind of thing. And
Yes.
it's like, why do we need to associate creating big goals for ourselves or, setting those desires like on the path
Yeah.
with the new year? Like
Right.
we could just start
Right.
now on, we're recording on December 14th. Like what's wrong with December 14th?
Well, we're hibernating now. Why can't we start in March when it's spring and it's getting lighter out and
I love how connected you are to the
out?
idea of New Year's changing to springtime. I'm with you.
Yes. I just feel like for me personally, like when I'm trying to change my habits, when I'm trying to, have clear goals that I really want to go after, right? I feel most motivated after the winter.
Same.
Right? Yes. And so for me also it's like part of me letting go of the pressure of the 31st into the 1st is like I can make my goals anytime, right?
Mhm. Yep.
And I know the seasons that work better for me.
Yes. Trusting yourself.
Yes.
And
Yes.
not the media and the date that the world's decided is when you change.
Yeah. Right.
Or start to
Exactly.
change.
Yeah. no, I'm going to hibernate. I'm going to continue my hibernating until it gets warmer and sunnier. And then,
Amen, sister.
So, okay. So the thing is, like, I'm not really for resolutions, but I am for changing habits that might make your day feel better. Right. Like, I'm down for that. I'm down for having goals, big or small, and then finding ways to actually get those goals accomplished. Right. Like, I'm not all about hibernating 4 seasons. Right. Although sometimes that sounds nice too. But so
we do like sleep.
We do like sleep. We do like sleep. We sometimes like some TV or reading a book, right? That's all in hibernation.
100.
Cozy blankets. So when you have goals or want to change habits and stuff, like what has actually worked for you as opposed to new year, new you, create a resolution, and then you need to accomplish it, right? Because it's your New Year's resolution, right?
Yeah.
So what's actually worked?
I feel like I'll break it down into 2 parts, right? Like the day-to-day stuff and then the bigger stuff. And so like when it comes to changing my habits, let's say, like, cause you use that language, that's perfect. If I'm looking to change, let's say 2 or 3 of my habits that I feel like, it's not really serving me physically or emotionally, I'd like to try to shift it. I like to use the word shift too, as opposed to change something. I don't know. It just feels good in my mind. And so I want to make these shifts. I guess shift feels more like a step, right? Like a baby step than like change feels very severe to me. I hear the word change and I'm like, bam, it's like a severe
new year, new you.
Yeah, exactly. I hear shift, I'm thinking more like step. And so when it comes to changing my habits, I'm like coming up with the baby steps to slowly chip away at the negative parts of, something I'm doing and try to filter in the changes, right? Like the actual baby steps. And so like, if I want to stop napping for an hour, right? Every day of the week, even though again, we just said literally moments ago how much we love sleep, right?
Yeah.
We're both nappers, warriors that have been listening for a while. You guys know, right? We're big proponents of sleep around here on this podcast.
Yeah.
And so if I notice, right, sleeping for an hour every day is not good for me. Right. And so I'm not going to say, Margot, you can never sleep for an hour on a day when you're really tired. So having that mindset shift too, it's like, it's okay if it happens once in a while, and reminding myself everything's okay in moderation. Everything's okay if it happens once in a while, but generally you don't feel good if you sleep for an hour in the middle of the day. So how do I work myself down to 30 minutes, which I know is a lot more supportive for me to like take a recharge in the middle of the day and then get back to my afternoon classes? Cause a lot of my work is bam, in the morning, I'm doing 7, 8, 9 classes sometimes just a couple, like it varies. But then I have this awkward break between when there's no class on some days anyway. And then I have after school stuff, right? Or I need to, that's when I'm having my lunch and walking the dog and doing all these things. And sometimes I need to catch like 20, 30 minutes. And so it's like, on the days when I could have an hour though, I was giving myself the hour. And so if I wanted to change it to 30 minutes every day, no matter what my schedule is, trying to slowly set the alarm like a couple minutes earlier every day until eventually I'm at no more than 30 minutes of nap time. And even if I don't sleep for that whole amount of time, I did my rest at least for those 30 minutes. Right. And so like, I like to think of it as like move in a way that feels sustainable. And to me, that means baby steps. It means self-compassion. It means saying, if I had a really bad night's sleep the night before and I need the full hour, not beating myself up for needing the full hour and just giving myself the freaking full hour and knowing that like, hey, I can try again tomorrow. I can go back to my routine tomorrow. And maybe it means I have to not jump right back to 30, but do like a 45, right? And slowly work my way back up to 30 again. But maybe a little bit faster, right? Since my body's typically used to that. That's just one example of that. And so I like to sort of have the mindset shift and also think of my habit changing as more of like shifts in behavior as opposed to like, bam, you're no longer doing that behavior.
Right. I don't think that's sustainable to no longer do it.
Not
I
for me.
really like what you're saying in the, you have a clear intention, you have a reason
Mhm.
why it's important to you, right? It's not like society is telling you you should nap less, so you're following through with that. It's like,
100%.
right. It's like, no, I notice it actually doesn't help me. So I have a
Right.
clear intention. This is what I'm going to practice, but I'm going to be flexible with myself in that practice because I'm not the same person every single day.
Totally.
Yeah.
Exactly. 100%. And so
I
for the
love
bigger
that.
goals, it's a little bit simpler. For me, I like to write stuff down. Writing stuff down, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a commitment to words, and again, with flexibility, with love for myself, with giving myself space if I need it. But if I write stuff down, whether it be on a little list or a big list, and I create joy around what I've written down, meaning that,
Yeah.
like, if I, let's, like, at the moment, I'm working on my second children's book, and it's been a little bit of a slog. I don't have as much
Mm-hmm.
energy behind the process as I did the first time. I think that's probably maybe common for some people, maybe not. I don't actually know. I haven't spoken to many multiple book authors before about it, but that's just my thought, that I'm sure there are plenty of authors out there that don't have like the same drive or gusto their second go around. Maybe they do, maybe they don't, who knows. But I like to sort of add the joy surrounding what I've written down. And so, like, I like vision boarding.
Yes.
I loved
Yes.
I loved scrapbooking as a kid. And so I've taken that with me into my adulthood. I love cutting out pictures from magazines and printing them out on the internet and creating
Mm-hmm.
like fun cork boards of like stuff I'd love to do this year. And
Yes.
that brings me joy, and it's creative but low key, right?
Yes.
And I can keep it close to my desk and it inspires me, right? And so,
Right.
like, um writing things down, whether they be big or small, even if they're about big goals, and even if I know it's going to take months or years to accomplish some things, right? Not everything's going to be overnight.
Right.
um I like to write them down and then somehow create some joy around what I've written down.
Yes.
So yeah, that's kind of the process. What about you?
Yeah. I mean, it's very similar. I'm just sitting here smiling because of course it's very similar. Um, um, you know, for me, I feel like it wasn't until I did the empowerment workshop in my like mid 20s that I started to understand changing my habits, like what worked for me. Right. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think their process works for everyone, but for me, part of it was really examining the narrative in my head and having awareness of what are my thoughts telling me, where am I limiting myself, right? But then also, what
Mm-hmm.
do I actually really want? Because I think, like when I was joking before about like, what's your passion, and have your job be your passion. And, like, I think that came a lot from the media, from, that's the message I was getting. So I felt like I couldn't just enjoy work or have work be separate than the other passions. Like I had to, there was all this pressure. So
Yeah.
when I did that workshop, it gave me a lot of clarity in things that were important to me, right? And then the understanding that it takes baby steps to get there, and the understanding that I got to rework the narrative in my head, right?
Mm.
So it's a lot of what you're saying. And then for me also, you're saying vision board, and for me too, it has to be like a clear vision of what it actually looks like,
Mm-hmm.
right? Whether it's me wanting to do a better job of cleaning my counters of clutter and seeing a clean, counter, right?
Right.
Or a clutter-free counter, right? Or it's me like, finishing a project I'm working on, like creating an insight time recorder, whatever it is. It's like seeing that moment in my mind, believing it's actually possible, right?
Mm.
Um, but there's a lot of things that in the past also got in my way. One was not knowing what I wanted, right? So was it what I wanted or what I think other people wanted of me, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there was that got in my way. There was also like me not having the knowledge about my ADHD. And I mean, I knew I had ADHD, but I didn't know how me laying on the floor not being able to like go do something was because of ADHD, right? Like,
Sure.
so
Yeah, the connection wasn't there.
yeah, understanding how ADHD impacts my executive functioning, and how, my body's looking more for like dopamine than like, than the mundane stuff, right? So having that understanding has really helped me now in recent years versus before, when I would put pressure to make changes and I just couldn't do it.
Right.
And then just a lot like what you said is like, for me, I have to know if I'm like really committed to this, right? If it's
Mm,
something I think I want, but I don't really want it, like how passionate am I about, clutter-free counters, just as the example, right?
right,
If I'm
right,
really passionate about it, then I'm very committed to the follow through on changing it so my counters are clutter-free, right?
right. Yeah,
If I'm really committed to finishing a course, then I'll do it. But if I'm
right.
wishy-washy about it, I'm probably not going to do it, right? So
Mm,
there's this how committed am I? And then accepting that piece of it, which I
yeah.
also lacked, is accepting like who I was, right? And then the final thing I'd say, and then I'll put it all together, is just a lot of patience. Like you said, it can take time to do these things, right? It can take
Hmm.
time to build the habit. It can take time to follow through. It can take time to have this idea become something that you really want, right?
And finish.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So for me, ultimately, like when I'm thinking about changing habits and making changes, it's not New Year's resolutions, right? It's not
Right.
pressure to be someone different, right? It's really thinking about, okay, what is important to me right now? And how committed am I to it? And how patient am I for
Mm,
thing? And then I take those baby steps, like you were saying, to start getting to that place using affirmations or changing the narrative and a vision of a
yes.
clear idea of where I'm going to. And then
Yeah.
the biggest part I would say that I haven't mentioned yet is support. I can't get shit done if I don't have people supporting me. I can't. Whether
Yeah.
it be getting more fit, right? I got to go to yoga class. I got to go to a kickboxing class, right? I got to go where there's people and we're supporting
Community.
each other. Yes. Right.
Okay.
Or
I was
if
just
I'm,
about to ask you what kind of support are you?
yes,
Right.
yes.
Okay.
But with
Makes
like the
sense.
the courses and my writing and stuff, I have zero support. So I don't like
Right.
do it ever. No one's like holding me accountable. I'm not holding myself accountable, right?
Yeah.
It'll happen when it'll happen, right? And so, you know, if I was making a New Year's
Interesting.
resolution, it would be to follow through and finish these open projects, but I'm not making New Year's resolutions. So
Right.
maybe the resolution is finding someone that'll hold me accountable,
Interesting. I love
right?
that. I love that so much. I really I appreciated the visual of you picturing yourself or the thing completed,
Yes.
right? And like believing it's possible. And you mentioned like limiting beliefs before, and that just really hit home for me. I think a lot of our warriors can relate to that, even in the smallest of ways. So thank you for sharing that, because I feel like it's really hard to envision sometimes something that we don't believe is true for ourselves.
Right.
Right. And so like starting to break that wall down, even about baby step. And I love the visual of just a clean, uncluttered countertop, and like
Mm-hmm.
how simplistic that is, right? And how that can be a freaking goal.
Yes.
Why not have that as a goal? If
Right.
that's something you're working towards, if you can get that done even once a week, find a way to clear your countertops, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a freaking win right there. And so I just
Yes.
love the simplicity of coming up with the vision and picturing it done. And I think that can work for small tasks like decluttering a counter, which for some people may not feel small. I guess I shouldn't minimize it, but more mundane, and
Mm-hmm.
versus something that's big for you, right? Like completing an Insight Timer course where you have no accountability, or like someone saying,
Right.
"Hey, Abby, have you hit that milestone this week?" And so I love that, the theme at the end too that you shared about being in community to help you
Mm-hmm.
reach whatever the mindset shift is, or to reach that goal for you.
Yeah.
Um, and so I can't wait to hear, right? Like how it goes in terms of like, are you able to locate the support, even if it's somehow like within you,
Yeah.
maybe. Don't discount yourself, I know that's hard, but I'm saying it to you as your friend. Um, at the end of the day, right? We have to believe, I have to believe, I'll just speak for me, that I have me, right?
Mm-hmm.
That I
Mm-hmm.
have me. And so I want you to remember that you have you. You can be your own support. And like, yes, we need other people. We need community. I'm 100% with you there, but it's like maybe coming up with some kind of system for yourself
Yeah.
in addition to community and support,
Right.
right?
Right.
That comes more externally. But I think that sounds like a promising, jump up, and do it whenever, right? It doesn't
Right.
even have to be like what we're saying here, warriors, is that the new year really has nothing to do with everything we're sharing. It's
Right.
the opposite, actually, right? It's knowing that we can do anything that we're suggesting right now, today, no matter if it's a week into the new year or, if you're listening to this 6 months into the new year, who knows? Just begin whenever you're ready to begin because you want to.
Right. Some people might really want to begin in the winter. They're like, hey, I'm home more. It's dark. I don't leave the house as much. Maybe that's a perfect time for you. Not for me. Right. Know yourself. Know yourself. No.
One more thing I really loved. Yes. Know yourself. Exactly. Is the way you ask yourself questions, right? Like, how committed to this thing am I?
Yeah.
I really like that. I think that that's an important one that I know I'm going to use from now on. I'm going to put that in my back pocket because I heard recently on a podcast, I don't remember exactly what they were talking about, but they basically said, if I get invited to do something and it's in 3 weeks, it's in 4 months, I have to ask myself, would I want to do that thing if it were tomorrow?
That's a good question.
And so for some, right. I know I'm like, I've been sitting with that for the last couple of weeks. It's like, would you say yes to that offer, that invitation, or that task, or that whatever, if it needed to happen today, if it needed to happen tomorrow? Are you that driven and excited for it? If you think you're going to work your way up to feeling driven and excited about it, that's bullshit. That's never going to happen.
Right.
You're never going to be. If you don't want to do it tomorrow, you don't really want to do it. And I love that. And what you said reminded me of that. Because I feel like it's asking yourself, how true is this desire for you? Right. How committed and how passionate are you about that thing? And then, as you said, accepting the answer, no matter what it is.
Right. Because it's accepting ultimately who you are. Right. Exactly. If you're not that committed, it's okay. You can push yourself, but if it's like for your own goals, right? Like if you have to like go to work, that's a different type of commitment, right?
Sure.
But if you're thinking about commitment with yourself, then you know yourself and you accept exactly like, would you want to do this tomorrow? Yes or no? Right? Yeah. Because you're probably going to be a similar version of yourself 6 months from now, 4 years from now. Similar.
Yeah. It's like, are you really going to believe that you're going to somehow worked up the energy or the strength of the desire in those 4 months? Right. You're not. And then you're either going to wind up canceling the commitment or doing it half-assed or half-heartedly.
Yeah.
So for me, that was an important reframe and you just reminded me of it. And hopefully it's something that you warriors can at least ponder on when it comes to, taking baby steps towards new habits or maybe achieving really big ass goals and dreams. It's like we can approach it through a similar lens, with a similar mindset, right? It doesn't have to be big or small. It's the same skill set for both things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully as you enter into this new year, you feel, accepting of who you are, maybe aware of what's important to you and what you want, and the patience with yourself to go after those things, knowing that, it's all a journey, right? It's like, if you want to be more fit, it's not happening overnight. You have to be committed to that, to showing up for yourself and doing the work. If you want to write a kid's book, write a insight timer thing, it won't happen overnight. Maybe it will. Once in a while, once in a blue moon, one person gets an overnight thing. No, they've been putting the work in for years.
Exactly. And you don't see that stuff either, right? And so I love that you said it's a journey. It's like sometimes if we go back to the messages we receive, in the media and our news and our social media, whatever, it's like we're seeing end products all the time.
Yes. Right? They like to make us think that it's overnight success.
Exactly.
So we feel bad about ourselves again, why can't I do this? But
exactly right. It's designed that way.
Yeah.
So it can keep us in that vicious cycle for next New Year's.
Yes, where I can sign up for another gym membership.
Exactly. Right. If I get my perfect body this year, then I won't be signing up for their gym membership and buying all their shit next year. So they need to make me feel like crap over and over again.
Yeah.
So warriors, take some time this week to think about how the new year has an impact on you. How does it feel thinking about it in your mind? How does your body react to this conversation if you had a reaction? I know when we thought about the topic, we both had some reactions to it. How is it different from how you used to perceive the new year, if it is? And if you're interested in kind of curating new habits for yourself, what are some of the baby steps or the clarifying questions you can ask yourself? Can you sit with and write down and vision board on things that mean something to you that you feel passionately about? Can you practice self-compassion when you are trying something new or trying to build that new habit or build those metaphorical muscles in something new, and be really open and flexible and compassionate to yourself in it? And just know that we, Abby and myself, love you warriors so much for exactly who you are today, tomorrow, and always. And we're so grateful that you're here on this podcast journey with us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Hey, Margot, do you have a win of the week? Win of the week.
I do have a huge win. So warriors, if you have been around with us for a bit, you may have heard one of our mundane anxieties episode was all about tattoos and piercings. And we kind of shared about our experiences with the world of tattoos and piercings and how the anxiety showed up for us in those times. And I had mentioned that I had been, designing a tattoo. I was ready to get my second tattoo. My first experience was an impulse decision when I was, early 20s. I don't remember if I was 20 or 21. It was either one of those numbers, but very young, very impulsive decision. Thankfully, still happy with my first tattoo, but I was ready after 20 years to get this second tattoo. And I just got her this past weekend. Yes. And Abby was texting with Adam to see how I was handling it. And she learned that there was no light screaming.
Yes, I asked for video. I was really hoping to get some video. Not that I wanted you to be light screaming, but if there was light screaming, because you talked about it in the other episode, I wanted to see. I wanted to be there with you
to experience the light screaming potentially. Yeah, no, there was no light screaming. There was just lots of funny faces and somatic holds and deep breaths and hand squeezing. And it was great. I definitely, look, it wasn't relaxing or meditative. Shout out to Ryan, who shared that it was relaxing. And I will say there was like a tween. I'm mocking a little bit. She wasn't a tween. She was very young. I would guess that she was somewhere between 18 and 22.
Okay.
And she was, just a few feet from me getting tattooed on like her kneecap, which it's like, ow.
Yeah.
And she's just scrolling on her phone, like yawning, like not a care in the world. And I'm just like,
for her, it was a meditative experience.
Totally. And the girl several feet in front of me, so she was on my left side, the girl several feet in front of me, like a little bit further away, she was like asleep, fully asleep.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, okay, I'm here with a bunch of pros. I'm still a novice, and but
you're just training your nervous system. You're like, hey, nervous system, we can handle this.
I know. And I'm really proud of how I did. I'm really proud. Adam was really proud. I kept saying, I'm doing really great. And he was like, you're doing so great. And then of course, Bridget, shout out to Bridget from the Gallery Tattoo in Huntington. For any Long Islanders, head over there for your tattoo. She was amazing. And super
and it
kind.
looks amazing.
Yeah, thanks. I will be sharing a picture to IG, although it's probably already there, maybe warriors. So you can scroll back and find it. So that was my big win, was getting through it. I really wanted it and I made it happen.
Yeah.
Had all my vision boarding and creating and all the things. And I was ready to not make it totally spontaneous. And I survived. I thrived in it.
And I want to just point out for all us anxiety warriors, going into it, you had some anxiety.
Oh, yeah.
But on the other side, you were like, it was a lot less worse than I anticipated, which I feel 100%. Like that sums up anxiety.
For real. Like not only, literally, I walked through the door and I felt better. Yeah. Just being inside the building. Yeah. Sometimes it's worse when you walk inside a building. maybe it was just good energy in there that day. And I felt very zenned out as soon as I walked through the door. It was like, I texted you like moments before. I was like, okay, I have to go,
Yeah.
and like literally 2 minutes later we were through the door, and I was just kind of exhaled like, all right, now come what may, I'm here, I'm doing this,
Mhm.
and I'm going to get through it. I'm going to live and love it. So
Yeah.
that was my big win, Warriors. If you haven't
I
listened to that episode, go back and listen.
I have a big one too.
Ooh, let's hear.
So the other day, this like package arrived at my house and I opened it up and it was this big white platter. And on it, it says Peaceful Soleil. And for everyone who doesn't remember, Dan and I created our own holiday tradition of Soleil, right? We are not celebrating other holidays. We're celebrating Soleil. And now we have our first holiday platter to hold all our dumplings.
Yes.
And you'll never guess who sent it to me.
I can't wait to hear who this magical, mysterious, lovely
Santa.
person
It
is.
was Santa.
Oh, yes, it's true. I heard that Santa is a 5'4" Puerto Rican, Chinese, Irish, and German girl who's 40. I totally heard that.
With an elephant tattoo.
Totally.
Yeah.
That's 100% who Santa is.
Yeah. Yeah.
In my mind, actually.
Santa Margot.
I'm so glad. I already knew you got it and that you loved it. And I'm so glad you do. And
I wish I had a video of me opening it up, because the moment I opened it up, it was like, I didn't know it was from you. I had no idea. It didn't say from you, so as I'm opening it up, I mean, I knew it was from you the moment I opened it. Right. But the look on my face was like it was, I felt seen.
Aww.
I felt loved. I felt gratitude. I felt, I can't think of the other words right now, but it was a lot of feelings. And so
a lot of feelings. That could sum us up too. Anxiety. That sums up anxiety. A lot of feelings.
A lot of feelings.
Oh, I love that you have that win. And I was grateful to have the opportunity to gift that to you, because I like giving gifts when I know it's like, when I know what the gift is, right? It's like, nothing's more exciting to me than like when I have the perfect gift for someone.
You knew we didn't have a dumpling platter. You knew it.
I mean, of course you didn't. Who has a dumpling platter? First of all, right? Like, your tradition for this new holiday is so freaking unique and special. Most people don't have dumpling platters. Certainly not that are, what's it called? Personalized.
Right.
With the words of the holiday. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we don't wish the happy holidays. We say that we hope things are peaceful.
Right.
And that was what you taught me. That was your thing. And I will say, shout out to Amy, my friend Amy. I just bought some products from her. She's a local Long Island female business owner that I'm in community with. And she loved our episode about the holidays so much. And I had shared in one of my newsletters about changing up your language to be more inclusive and sensitive around this time of year. And she sent me an email back thanking me for that language. And she actually just, when I went and picked up my order from her, she wrote me a card and it says, "Thank you for shopping small. I truly appreciate you. Peaceful holiday. Enjoy your goodie bag. Love, Amy." And so that was because of you, lady,
Yeah. I mean, it's from experience. When I was not having a happy holiday and people kept saying happy holiday, it felt so freaking tone deaf. It was like, hi, why don't you wish me some peace? I'm not going to have happiness and joy and merry making. Right. And so I learned it from experience, but it's definitely something that, is important for me to wish others, because I don't know what people are going through. Right. Yep. They might not be having a happy holiday, but hopefully they can find some peace in it.
Mm-hmm. And you can wish that for them at the very least. Right. Yeah, totally. If you haven't heard that episode, Warriors, episode 86, Holiday Anxiety Part 2, you can learn about Abby's Peaceful Soleil, her new holiday with Dan, and why you have it going on this year, and or you had it, I should say. All right, so double win. We had Mabby wins that were separate today. I love it. Abby's doing a silent celebration over there, a little dance in her chair. All right, Warriors. Well, thank you so much for tuning in this week. We hope that you will take something away from it, thinking about how perfect you are already, but how you can always take baby steps towards changing up your habits, and thinking about how New Year, New Me could be a really old and bullshit tradition that you can go ahead and throw out unless it serves you. And if it serves you, then fuck us, right? Do you?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you, it's got to be what feels right for you. So if you'd like to connect with us for any reason, you can reach out on Instagram. We're at Anxiety Warriors Podcast, or you can shoot us an email at anxietywarriorspodcast@gmail.com to shout out your wins of the week, to share topic ideas with us. If you think you'd be a great fit as a guest on our show, you have an anxiety journey to share, we'd love to help you share it here on our platform. And please take 2 seconds, smash that 5-star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're tuning into this show right now. Drop us a rating and review. And please, maybe you want to head over to YouTube and click like and subscribe over there. All of our episodes are uploaded on that site as well. And we are always selling, not just during holiday time. Now the holiday time is kind of past us. And so maybe grab yourself some Anxiety Warriors swag. You're coming down from the holidays, and maybe you didn't get the best gifts. Maybe even if you did get the best gifts, you want to like treat yourself to something new and fun. Maybe you got a gift card that you can spend some money shopping small and supporting our podcast. You can shop our show, our podcast merch at our link in bio on Instagram, or our show notes right here on your app. And that's it, y'all. Did all the things. Love ya.
Yeah, we love you. I'll add one thing because you don't know about this, Margot.
Oh.
Anchor just added an option to be able to ask questions to our community. So if you're on Spotify listening, I will try to ask questions and remember it. And you please respond, because then we can interact with each other, which is super, super fun. So if you're on Spotify, check it out. And we love you. Neat. So thank you all so much for going on this journey with us. We are so grateful we get to do this for the 3rd season, season 3.
Woohoo! Till next time.